Hey guys, it's the Chaffiots.
What up?
The little Chaffiot chat. So we just got done watching The Sound of Freedom. If you haven't heard of it, you might be under a rock. So I don't know, I was planning on doing something like in the movie theater, like right outside the theater right after, and I just was like too messed up to really process everything.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people probably left feeling that way. You think?
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Yeah, it still surprises me if that there is a lot of people that are pretty ignorant of child trafficking. There's more than I realized, to be honest with you. So
I don't know if they're like ignorant as much as like people, like human beings, like have to just actually disassociate with that even being a reality. Because when you think about like a child being,
maybe they won't allow their mind to go to that dark place.
A child being raped is like the most horrific thing you could possibly imagine because of their innocence and their inability to defend themselves, and just like the horrific atrocity that someone would even do that.
That's probably more accurate. I mean, human trafficking's been it's been talked a lot, about in the past, especially in the past few years. I'd say it's gotten a lot of attention and traction. So I take that back. Yeah, I would say a lot of people know about it, but I agree with you that people just don't allow their minds to go in that place to really try to get a glimpse on how horrific it really is.
And we've known about Operation Rescue Freedom.
You're wearing the shirt.
Operation Underground Railroad. I should take that back.
Sorry, I took something back. You took something back.
Because it's not about the organization as much as it is about the work they do. I do have their shirt, and we've supported them for a really long time. Like I said, my mind's messed up. They do amazing work, and they've been doing amazing work, and I'm glad that it's finally being highlighted because Tim Ballard, yes, you are an amazing freaking warrior for the kingdom.
For sure.
And it's by God's grace that he's able to do all of that, so I want to give God the glory. And for everybody who left the movie going, how is there a God if he lets things happen? Let's put things into perspective. We are not fighting a war against flesh and blood. We're fighting against spiritual beings and principalities that are demonic. This world is not what Christ had envisioned for us.
The Bible says that Satan is the god of this world, and I think Satan is running around. He has free reign over the planet, and this is his work, not God's. So,
and it really boils down to how do people get so depraved to even do something like that, free will. And when you start just making poor choice after poor choice after poor choice, you
start watching one porn video after another, and you get hooked, and then your desires get more and more extreme. The material that used to satisfy you doesn't satisfy you anymore, so you need more sadistic material in order to get off, and all of a sudden you're a sex buyer.
Sex buyer. And then when that's not good enough, your brain scientifically changes. So your brain scientifically changes the more pornography you watch. But then people always go how do they end up, how do you get attracted to kids? Well, I don't think anybody goes into it going, I'm just going to watch porn and then eventually I'm going to go rape a child. It's called deception.
No,
you're deceived.
It's years and years of, entertaining, saying yes to a desire that you shouldn't. It's you feeding a bad desire for years and years and years, and all of a sudden it morphs into paraphilia or some abnormal, sexual desire.
All right. Well, let's break down the movie because people might not be ready for all the deepness that we're going to probably go into over these cigars. What did you think? What were your thoughts? What were your first thoughts?
I thought it was a good movie. We've talked about this a little bit, but I thought it was well done for sure. I also thought it was a bit watered down as far as just how atrocious the abuse really is. I think they could have pushed the limits on what these children really suffer through, and they could have I don't know, I think they could have exposed more of that in a more intense way in the film. I think that would have, I don't know, because
if we're gonna Siskel and Ebert, I would say
that's just my take.
I know.
I think if you're dealing with a topic that dark, like why shy away? I feel I would go right for the punch in the throat with some of that stuff, but
I think it's because it's like the levels of like people are aware that human trafficking happens, and people are aware that it happens with children, but then like to then put it into seeing in some form, like you have to kind of start somewhere. Like if you just go straight for that, then it would probably turn a lot of people from even like stepping foot into the theater, and like the idea is maybe that their imaginations can fill in the blanks, but like also like that's like their next step. So it's like you don't want to like throw them into the
maybe not, although
deep end.
I hear you. I will say this. I remember when I was 16 years old, I went to this seminar about this dad who was really advocating for children not to talk on their phones while driving. Texting wasn't as popular back then, so now it's even worse. But anyway, his daughter wound up dying in a car wreck because I guess she had her phone out and was talking on the phone while driving, and he did not hold back at all. Like I remember he showed us a slideshow of images, really graphic images of car wrecks, and people just like mangled in these cars. And basically the intent.
They showed the people?
Yeah, they showed the aftermath of a really bad wreck due to you being distracted while driving. So I think the whole intent of that was to scare the hell out of you, so you never take your phone out and use it while driving. So I'm not saying I
won't do that for our kids, because I probably will.
Yeah, and it's like, I would have taken more of a similar approach with this film. I would have done something to really kind of push the limits a little bit, push the boundaries, be a little edgy, because you really want to know how dark it is. Well, this is how dark it is. This is really what these children suffer through. Have a glimpse, a real glimpse, So I don't know. That's just me. But
well, I thought the acting was still, it was top notch. It was fantastic. I think that it had to be done that way. But I think, if we really want to encourage you guys to think about what that actually means. And you should leave. All right, I left the theater going, well, what next? Like, what do we do now? We have a cigar company that we donate funds back to help fund the fight, because it's not cheap. I would love to be that millionaire that could, fund these missions. That would be a dream, to be like really successful, to then help fund it. So if you do have money, you can certainly put it where your mouth is. But what next? Like, what do you do? Like, you leave going, you gotta do something. Like, these are like literally someone's children that are going missing. And that's the thing. Millions of kids go missing every year. They don't turn up. Like, wouldn't you think that if millions of kids are getting taken by like just weirdos and like murdered, that their like bodies would show up? No, like, there are millions of kids that are enslaved, and it would probably be better to be dead than be raped 5 or 6 times a night for decades. Well, I think the life expectancy is only 7 years, but for 7 years, every day for 7 years, like, put yourself in that position. Or
watch the documentary. Watch the documentary Who Took Johnny. That will give you some perspective.
Who Took Johnny, and if you really liked the movie,
it's on Amazon Prime. I think you have to buy it, but.
Yeah, if you really liked tonight's movie, there's also a documentary on Tim Ballard with some live footage called Operation Toussaint, and it's on Amazon Prime. And it's a really good movie as well. But, I don't know. Like, here's where we're at. Like, 600,000 kids went missing in Ukraine. Like, where did they go? Millions of kids that are just going missing. Like, where do they go?
The Biden admin, they can't locate 85,000 something kids across the border. They have no idea where they are,
So, they're somewhere. And the reality is there's millions of kids and men and women that are being abused. And when I say abused, being raped while we sleep. like every night.
So going back to your question, I think what do you do now? I think that's a really hard question to answer, because I think the issue is so vast and overwhelming, and I think instead of asking what do you do now, I think a better question to ask would be, hey, what have you already done that you enjoy doing, that you like, that you have a passion for, something that you're good at, something that you're really interested in, and figure out a way to turn that thing, whatever it is, into try a way to figure out how to turn that thing to support, this cause. Like figure out how to.
Like if you're good at raising money, raise money and donate it to.
I'm not lost sleep. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, if you're good at fundraising or you have money, donate it to causes that have been vetted, because there's a lot of causes out there that aren't great.
Yeah.
Operation Underground Railroad, we know is fantastic. If you want to personally message us, we can give you ones that have been vetted by the CIA that we work with. Life Recapture is one that's fantastic here locally where we live. But you can donate, you can pray. That's free. But you know what? Prayer changes everything. And people that are out there doing the hard work, they need the covering, they need the wisdom, they need Yes. They're the justice bearers. There are people like Tim Ballard that are going out and doing this. So pray for them. And I don't know, pray for how you can get involved, because everybody's got something they can do.
That was my whole point. What I meant to say was turn that passion, or turn that thing you're really good at or interested in doing, whether that be a business or a hobby or some art form or something. Figure out how to turn that into like a form of advocacy, to really support this cause. Get creative with something that you're already really interested in or into,
and do narrow it down to one, because if you think about like the gravity of millions of people, then it's like you almost get paralyzed, like, oh, what am I going to do to help? But boil it down to one. Think of it, if it was your child or your niece or nephew or your grandchild, like what end you would go to, and then realize that that's somebody's child, niece or nephew, grandchild, and like we have to do something. You can't not do something.
We have to do something. And again, I think that was the most feasible way for us. Like, we really enjoy cigars, so we figured out how to use cigars, to help, raise funds and support for this issue. Like, there's Run Against Traffic. You have a guy Tommy Green, who just likes to run, and he figured out, okay, how can I use running to support this issue? Like, it literally can be anything. Like, just whatever you like, and make it work.
And here's the other thing too. The only other thing I will say about the movie I left going is that, man, now people got to realize that it doesn't just happen overseas. It's happening in our backyards, and it's happening. Kids don't have to get taken, and they don't have to be missing to be trafficked. A lot of kids are being trafficked by family members, and are still going to school, going to church, doing all these things, and are still being abused. So if you see something, say something. But also, know that it's happening here, and that, it's happening in every city, everywhere. So, like, let's not think that like it's just happening over there and that we don't have a part in it. I mean, the U.S. is like one of the number one buyers of children.
Yeah, we definitely have a higher demographic here that buys sex, for sure, that buys children. We're the number one producer and consumer of child porn. That's the U.S. And
so that's another way to get involved, is quit watching porn. It fuels trafficking.
That's actually a really great one. Like, if you're watching porn, start there, actually.
And if you need accountability, again, reach out to us. We'll be happy to connect you, to encourage you, to give you tools. But like, you got to take responsibility. We all got to do our part. So, and you can. I'm gonna plug them. Operation Underground Railroad. Go to their website. Buy some gear. Like, let's be an army.
Merch.
Buy some merch. It helps fund them, and let's enable them to go do more. I think Tim said they've rescued over 7,000 children, and that was by his decision to leave what was comfortable and cushy and go do something extraordinary by the grace of
He
God.
had a
So
nice pension plan laid out for him to
Yeah.
retire, and
and he
gave
has 7
that up.
kids. Him and his wife are busy. That's
Yeah.
busy. If y'all say you ain't got time, I know sometimes I go, well, I don't have all the time. 7 kids, come on. And his wife's holding it down at home. So kudos to you too for being a prayer warrior and an awesome mama and wife. But
Yes.
Ballards, we raise our cigar to you. And that, oh, by the way, they smoke some cigars in that movie.
What was the character's name?
Oh, I forgot, but that's who Justin really, he wants to just wear Hawaiian shirts, smoke cigars, and help end human trafficking. So that's like his spirit animal was in the movie, but it did make us want to have a
that
cigar.
character. I really did.
It did make us want to have a cigar.
Yeah.
And now we
need
want
a
to.
guy like that, you know?
Yeah,
Anyway.
and then the other part was like, let's go run and be like really fit like Tim, so we can kick butt. So I don't know, we're somewhere in between there, but we
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
we're passionate. We hope that you guys feel passionate. If you haven't seen the movie, go see it. Go buy a ticket. Let's make this like the biggest movie to ever come through the box offices, because it's, you know, a story that's got to be told, and it's got to change hearts.
Yeah. I totally agree with all that. So.
And that's your Chaffiot chat.